I'd like to call this meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council, serving as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, to order at 5 p.m. Can we do roll call, please? Please let the record reflect that 8 council members are present, with Mrs. Newberry absent today. All right. If you could please rise for prayer. Dr. Boyd, would you like to lead us? Yeah. Here you go.
Bow our heads, please. We take this moment to acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially for the parish's natural resources. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women in our military who daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom, and we pray for our world leaders to know how to obtain world peace. We pray that this government body, composed of both council and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all, and for the wisdom to know right from wrong and the courage to do that which is right. And as this government body gathers here today, we pray that we will be spared from all harm and destruction this hurricane season. Amen.
Amen.
Join us for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We'll wait there. I'd like to just take a moment to just mention that our executive director, Mr. Sanders, isn't with us today, and if folks could just keep his health in your thoughts and prayers, we'd appreciate that. Moving down the agenda, please.
Item 2, executive session.
Mr.
Executive session pursuant to LRS 42:17A10 to receive attorney-client privilege and information with regard to the legal standing of the port in matters pertaining to the proposed Belle Chase Bridge project. Commissioner Roussel.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, due to time constraints with those that we have coming in from Dallas and Memphis, I ask that we move the executive report up so they can get out for a flight, if that's okay, sir.
Absolutely, we'd be happy to.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 3, status report by the Executive Port Director, Assistant Executive Port Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I greatly appreciate it. We have had some folks from Dallas County Inland Port, also the Port of Memphis, St. Louis Regional Freightway, and also our friends and exclusive partners, American Patriot Holdings, come here today, as we talked about in our previous meeting last month. We discussed that we would want them to present on what's going on at their ports and their regions and how they're making decisions and investments because of the potential development at Plaquemines Port, i.e. our letter of intent. So I would like to have them come up and present. But prior to that, I think it is important to say that we also need to keep in prayer our friends in Southwest Louisiana, our port friends and our friends out there. We do know that Venture Global on their site did not have any significant damage, so we thank God for that as well. And so we're constantly keeping up with them. I do want to thank our team, Mr. Kusay and Mr. Durr, for doing all they can to make sure that we are available to help in any way possible and any rescue efforts in Southwest Louisiana. So I'm just grateful for that. But we want to start with Commissioner John Wally Price of the Dallas County Inland Port. If he can come up and just say a few words, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council and the commission, I have with me today, and I don't know if you can hear me through this mask. Thank you. I have with me today my court administrator, Mr. Darrell Martin, who is here, my assistant court administrator and general counsel, Mr. Gordon Heichel, my former mayor, and part of our team is Marcus Knight, Mayor Marcus Knight with us. We come to you today, first of all, very grateful that you have invited us to be part of this collaboration. I want to thank your team. Your team has been nothing short of remarkable. Dallas County is 955 square miles. And in that 955 square miles, I represent 60% of the county. There are 4 county commissioners and 1 county judge. Dallas is the second largest county in the state of Texas. And when you look in this 3,400 counties in the United States, we are number 9. It's very clear. We did have a PowerPoint, and we'll move it forward as
Yeah, we're
quickly.
ready to go with the PowerPoint if,
Okay.
Kim, if you could just do the input.
But while it's coming, Dallas County has about $1 billion budget. And annual appropriation has a hospital district, 110 hospital districts in the state of Texas. Again, Dallas has the second largest hospital district. The county commissioners there are charged with the budget for the county, as I'm sure you are here, as well as setting the tax rate for the Dallas County Hospital District. While I'm still waiting on this come forward, Dallas County has a vision to be a healthy community, to also be operationally efficient in terms of government, safe, secure, prepared, a proactive regional partner, but more than anything, the destination of choice for business and resident. We have branded the Dallas County Inland Port. Yeah, they're having a little trouble. It's okay. I'll keep moving. The Dallas County Inland Port, and with that port, within that port, is 75,000 acre area. It's south of Loop 12, which loops the city. It is east of I-35 and the Trinity River, and north of Ellis County. When you look at this, it includes right now, Union Pacific has built a $100 million intermodal facility there. There are no formal boundaries. It takes in about 4 of my 8 cities and the county's unincorporated area. There are multiple property owners and developers, and we receive goods from the West Coast, the East Coast, and the Gulf of Mexico. The initial planning in the Dallas County area, we're currently developing a 2020 update to the infrastructure analysis. This update was primarily because of what we felt like was going to be a collaboration between Dallas County and the Plaquemine. Back in 2012, we did do an infrastructure study. And as a result of that, we felt like it was time so that Plaquemines would have good guidance in terms of which way we were going in terms of Dallas County. The area advantages: we have a state-of-the-art intermodal facility. Its proximity to of the top 10 interstates in the country, 3 of them run through Dallas County. The east-west corridor is Interstate 20. The north-south corridor is Interstate 35 and Interstate 45. We have access to all major markets and points of entry, and like our partners today with Memphis and East St. Louis, we're centrally located. We have proximity to major airports, and we have large tracts of undeveloped land. As I said, Dallas County has a population of 2.7 million people, and 2 million people live within 30 minutes of this particular port. Progress in the inland port, and I won't I'm past that. It has been that in Texas, they allow commissioners to, through major capital improvement projects, to help cities develop water and sewer infrastructures. Therefore, I've provided about $12 million worth of water projects along Pleasant Run and Wintergreen, which helps to abut this inland port. With that being said, the overpass in and around this inland port area spent about $56 million just building overpasses over and above it. The projects are numerous, and without this PowerPoint, I'm not going to bore you with a lot of that. Let me just tell you, Loop 9 is the new loop that is the other end of 190 in Dallas County. It basically envelops the inland port. TxDOT, the Texas Department of Transportation, has spent about $300 million just making land acquisitions and right-of-way with regards to that particular thoroughfare alone. In addition to that, I've completed or in the planning stage of about another $56 million worth of major capital projects, and other entities such as TxDOT, North Central Texas Council of Government, they have also basically invested $115 million. So combined projects just in my district alone is approaching the $200 million mark. It's brought another 2,400 jobs that have been created since this Dallas County Inland Port, more than $865 million in added value, and we've done about a new 244 acres of new development since this, out of, again, 75,000 acres. The inland port, it'll have all of this. I'm hoping that they're going to be able to distribute this to you so that you can see exactly the kind of businesses that have come into Dallas County. We have targeted abatements, companies such as Ace Hardware, Procter & Gamble, Kohl's, Centers, Amazon. They're all very large partners in this inland port area. One of the things we had to do in the southern sector in Dallas County, because Dallas, the city of Dallas, has what is known as DART, Dallas Area Rapid Transit, we had no real public transportation. We created, my district, along with Councilman Tennell Atkins, created an Inland Port Transportation Management Association. We have now entered into an engagement with both DART and with other carriers, including Uber, to make sure that we create the kind of circular pattern that will get our employees to work. This has been the genesis of a lot of new development in the southern sector. My district was the only district in the county who had not seen any growth in the past 30 years until this inland port. It is now the genesis and the central of what is going on in that community. Gentlemen, we look forward to a collaboration that with Union Pacific that will take and move not only Dallas County, but Plaquemines to where it is supposed to be. Let me just tell you, you're very fortunate. All of your stars have aligned, and we're just glad to be here and be part of the wedding party. We understood the announcement today that there was an engagement, and I'm glad to see that East St. Louis is here, Memphis is here, and together we're going to make this all work. And thank you for the opportunity just to be a part of it. Any questions, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you very much for your time and presentation. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the board?
Okay. Sure. And now, wanted to let you guys know we do have a binder for you that's on your table right now, which gives you bios of every single person who's speaking from each region. But along with that, you also see the press clippings, the articles that came out in response to our letter of intent, which came out of Memphis, St. Louis, the Dallas area, even Journal of Commerce made a mention about our LOI. So we're really excited about that. I think the next step right now is we talk about the inland ports, as Dallas is a rail play, and Dallas has a focus of moving cargo from our West Coast friends like LA, Long Beach, and going through the Panama Canal and being the dedicated port for the inland county of Dallas. That's what we'll be. But for the inland markets of Memphis and St. Louis, Sal Latrico, who's with American Patriot Holdings, will speak on that issue. Sal?
Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay? Good. It's been a while since I've been here last time. Today, I'm going to give you a brief update on some of the competitive advantages that we've been working on. And we've invited two key partners from the Midwest to present their prospective port updates and their economic impacts to the project. Okay, let's talk about competitive advantages. Wow, it's kind of small. All right. Keep in mind that we're putting together a new transportation system. And that system really creates shipper optionality and transportation cost savings, multiple facets of value to the supply chain, and we're really creating a north-south trade lane. The key components of that are, for PPHTD, is a fully integrated regional gateway terminal, which is connected to strategic Midwest state-of-the-art container terminals, which is connected to a patented, purpose-built container-on vessel, state-of-the-art container-on vessel. You add that all together, we're carrying critical cargo mass at the lowest landed cost. That's our transportation system. The best value is when we work together as one. Can't be duplicated. Okay. What? Yeah. So I'm sure you've seen this before. Port of Plaquemines at full build-out. This is the footprint. Nowhere in the Gulf will this is there here today. This can accommodate a full build-out, a fully intermodal transfer facility, accommodate three 20,000 plus TEU ships, container vessels, 2 of our vessels, 7 to 8 unit trains, warehousing, distribution, logistics center. That's a significant footprint to be really the ground, to be the base load for our new vertical transportation system. What are the competitive advantages? Go ahead, Paul. Competitive advantages are fully intermodal gateway terminal, rail, truck, air, marine. The marine is both ocean and inland. It's a state-of-the-art facility with robust automation, very important. It's got a green footprint, environmentally friendly, strategically located, widest, deepest part of the river with very minimal operational constraints, exclusive partnerships with APH and Midwest ports. The new gateway terminal is absolutely required because of growth and performance. The performance out on the East Coast and West Coast today is not very good. It's not going to get better. It's getting worse because the container ships are getting bigger. It takes longer to load and offload them. It's only going to compound the problem while the market is growing. So a new alternative is absolutely required. PPHTD is the building block for our new north-south trade lane. There's significant economic impact, also in jobs, direct and indirect jobs. Okay. Our role from an APH perspective on the marine side, we have 2 types of vessels. You've seen this before. We have the liner and the hybrid. The liner will operate from Port of Plaquemines to Memphis, Port of Plaquemines to St. Louis, and then our hybrid will handle all the tributary rivers we plan on calling. Some of the key attributes are our speed, our competitive speed of 13 miles an hour, verse 4 to 5, our volume of almost 2,400 TEU on the liner vessel, our diversity of cargo. We can carry refrigerated cargo, and we can do 3 round trips before we have to refuel. Go ahead. Thanks. Our competitive advantages at APH, significant cost-saving opportunities. We get it in speed, volume, the cargo diversity of what we carry, and logistical optimizations. What does that mean? When you get the Midwest loading and offloading in a timely fashion, an efficient fashion, Port of Plaquemines is doing the same. Our vessel is operating the way it's supposed to be. The efficiencies bring the lowest possible costs in the marketplace. We have a patented design vessel, state-of-the-art, purpose-built. Its job is to move the containers as cheaply, as safely as possible. It's got a green footprint, environmentally sound, friendly. Strategic operating footprint. It's connecting the Midwest to the lower Mississippi River to the world. exclusive partnerships with the Port of Plaquemines and our Midwest partners. Contain-on vessels required. When you look at what's out there today and some of the tools that are out there to operating the moving containers on the water, you can't do it effectively, you can't do it cheap enough. APH plays a critical role in our new transportation system in both volume, diversity of the cargo, and repositioning of empties. There's a lot of empty containers that can't be moved cheaply. We can do that and then position them for our customers and then take advantage of reloading them and taking them to a new destination. We also create economic value and impact to the economy and jobs, both direct and indirect jobs. Okay. Our partners in the Midwest. You can see we have a vertically integrated chart here. Starts with Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, Fort Smith, Little Rock, Kansas City. This is our north-south trade lane. This footprint will be serviced by our liner and hybrid vessels. Our competitive advantages with the Midwest. Intermodal terminals will have marine, truck, and rail. State-of-the-art container terminals. They will have automation. They'll be green, environmentally friendly, strategically located. Exclusive partnerships with APH and Port of Plaquemines and the Midwest terminals are absolutely necessary to close the link for our vertical integration. Midwest terminals serve a key role in our new transportation system, and they themselves also have great economic impact, and you'll hear a little bit about that today from both our two guests here from Memphis and St. Louis. Lastly, joining us today, we have two of our team members from the Midwest. Mary Lamy from St. Louis Regional Freightway, Executive Director, absolutely supportive of our project and has not only just done St. Louis, but she is doing the All Missouri Initiative, and she'll talk about that when she's up here. And Randy Richardson, who's the Executive Director for the Port of Memphis, who's doing an outstanding job. So they're going to talk about, give an update on where they are, their role on the team, and the potential economic impact of the project.
All right, well, good evening. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to be part of today's program. Also appreciate the opportunity to be part of the Container on Vessel Initiative. As Sal had indicated, I represent the St. Louis region. I'm going to give you some comments as far as the Missouri State collaboration regarding Container on Vessel, and then give you a quick update on each of the ports in the state of Missouri. Next. Anna? Alrighty, perfect. Okay, so the map you see in front of you, this is the state of Missouri. The light blue line you see going across the state is the Missouri River. You see Kansas City on the west end, Jefferson City, which is the capital of the state of Missouri, and then the St. Louis region. These are the three ports that we are working exclusively with. The St. Louis Regional Freightway, we've actually been a relatively new business enterprise of my company. First 2 years, we focused on partnering with the local ports in the St. Louis region. We did that for about 2 years. Prior to my position, those ports were actually working in competition. Most of those conversations focused on a container on barge initiative. And then we were introduced to the Port of Plaquemines and Sal's Container on Vessel initiative, and we recognize the scale of economy with what is being proposed today and the fact that this vessel can travel much faster. We could quickly recognize that this isn't about the St. Louis region. This is about partnering with those other ports that you see on this map. The St. Louis region, we've been identified as a hub for this, and what's most important is we have to have containers moving in and out, and for that reason, we have to work closely with their sister ports like Jefferson City and Kansas City. Next. This map, I think, does a great job as far as illustrating the reach that the St. Louis region has and the importance of those other ports that we have. You can see the draw that we get from the states to the north of us. For the state of Missouri, we are within a 500-mile radius of 80% of the agricultural and livestock production in the United States. hence the significance of these ports that we have here. For the state of Missouri, we are third largest when it comes to aerospace manufacturing. Again, another commodity that we think that we can take advantage of container on vessel. And we are also one of the top automotive states in the nation. Next. Okay, so I'd mentioned that over the last 2 years, we've been partnering with these other regions, and these aren't just an occasional partnerships. We recognize the economic value that each of these individual ports are going to have with this type of project. Most recently in May, we hosted our Freight Week. We hosted an industry panel discussion, and you can see the St. Louis region and Kansas City were included with that discussion. Part of those discussions focused on container on vessel. Next. Each time we do that, we send a press release out that is newsworthy, and you can see the national media coverage that we picked up when we're talking about this new option of transporting freight. And the key to this is it's a new option, it's at scale of economy, it's bringing that additional cost savings, and it's faster. Last August, we had Missouri Governor Parsons come to the St. Louis region, and we formally announced this statewide partnership. On behalf of the state of Missouri, regardless of what administration is in place, they have a track record of investing in our port systems. And during this event, it was symbolic that we had all of the ports behind each other, recognizing that economic value. And again, you can see the list of the media coverage that we had received on this. What was unique with this is, again, these ports, we are working collectively together. This is a slide that we use when we're working with industry leaders and elected leaders, and even with shippers and carriers. All shippers don't always know how that commodity, when it's containerized, is getting moved into the interior of the U.S. This is a slide that we use so they can better understand. A lot of times it is going by rail from the West Coast to the St. Louis region, and this is just depicting the all-water route. Next. All right, going to give you a quick update on each of the ports. So for the St. Louis region, we are considered a global logistics hub. We have 6 Class 1 railroads, 4 interstates, and we have the most strategic location on the Mississippi River. And that is because we are the furthest north on the Mississippi River that's ice-free and lock-free. So for that reason, it's obviously very advantageous for shippers to take advantage of that cost savings and get to the St. Louis region. Next. 2 years ago, we branded ourselves as Ag Coast of America, and that's based on nowhere else on the inland waterway system is moving the quantity of grain and fertilizer anywhere on the inland waterway system. Interesting enough, it's in a 15-mile section, and that's really the sweet spot for the barge industry. And I'm making that comment because, again, you can see with the scale of economy with the Container on Vessel initiative, how that market is going to really be able to take advantage of what we have in the region. So Ag Coast of America, 15-mile section, 7.5 miles north of the Gateway Arch, 7.5 miles south of the Gateway Arch. What's significant about this is the geographic advantage and that infrastructure we have. Private sector has invested significantly within that sweet spot, giving us that multimodal connectivity. Next. We are also classified as the second largest inland port and also the most efficient inland port. Okay, so for the St. Louis region, our hub location is in Jefferson County, and you can see the star that we have on that location. For this location, it is a partnership between Doe Run and RCP. Doe Run is a metal and mining company. RCP operates 2 barge terminal facilities at this location. It will have Union Pacific rail access. It is close proximity to Interstate 55, which gives you instant access to those freight assets that I had just mentioned. Next. They've also partnered with John Vickerman, who is providing a lot of the conceptual designs for several of the projects. So they have conceptual plans in place. Next. And then you can see some of the renderings that we have for that. And right now they're in the phase 1 process as far as initial surveys and some of the environmental surveys. Next. All right, America Central Port. This is a second port that has been in discussions with the Container on Vessel. They're in the St. Louis region, 7.5 miles north of the Gateway Arch. This facility has Norfolk Southern rail access, 1,100 acres, 80 tenants at this location. They have been very successful with securing infrastructure funds from the state of Missouri. At this point, their harbor would not be able to accommodate the hybrid vessel that Sal had mentioned. However, they would be available as far as providing that feeder service for the barge industry. Next, and voila. The good news is for our market, the private industry has identified that there is an economic value of shipping containers on a barge. Now imagine what would happen is if you walk in with the vessel that we're talking about today. So we're very proud that they launched that. But again, that's where we're very excited as far as what shippers and carriers are going to be able to take advantage with that scale of economy that Sal had mentioned, and also the fact that that vessel travels much faster. Port KC. Next. Okay. So for Port of Kansas City, for their port, starting in 2017, they reopened their port. And since then, they have been moving very quickly, again, with that support of the governor's office. Most recently, and with the governor's help, and after we had that announcement back in August, they announced an additional 400 acres from a former steel facility for the container and vessel location. You can see the conceptual drawings that they have put together that will specifically accommodate a container on vessel operation. Next. All right, this slide is important. We're not going to get bogged down in the details. The important part is they have a schedule outlined that is funded that they are going to construction in 2022, again, for a harbor that could accommodate a container on vessel initiative. This site would also be served by the Union Pacific Railroad. Go ahead, next. Those are some of the renderings. Okay, Jefferson City. Again, I mentioned that as the capital of the state of Missouri. This is an emerging port, but they are moving very quickly on this. Next. So for Jefferson City, 2 years ago, they received authority from the Missouri Department of Transportation to be a port. Last year, they received a grant and did a feasibility study and a market analysis, specifically identifying the market for container on vessel. And then this July, and again, keeping in mind, we met with the governor last August, and we've had a lot of milestones that have happened since that time. And then this past July for Jefferson City, they received a land transfer from the governor that then, go ahead to the next slide, for the south location is about 116 acres that was deeded to them from the state of Missouri. They're also partnering with a private entity, which is considered the north site. Next. And that's part of the market analysis. Again, a lot of that study focused on container on vessel. Okay, last two slides, this really focuses on what we're doing in a collaborative manner. When we send these press releases out and we're building that awareness, our target market are those shippers and carriers, and we're having those discussions, finding ways on how we can consolidate freight to those key locations that you saw on the map. Here are some of the examples of the different imports and exports that we're having discussions on. Next. This slide, this basically is listing all of the agencies at a state and a national level we are specifically working on regarding the container on vessel. Back in the fall, Missouri Governor Parsons set up a meeting for us to meet with just about everybody you see on that list. We met with the Cattlemen's Association, the pork producers, the Soybean Association, the corn growers, the Missouri Department of Transportation, the Secretary of Transportation with that DOT, and the Economic Development Organization. At a national level, again, I work very closely with USDOT, MARAD, U.S. Department of Agriculture, specifically on the container on vessel initiative. The agricultural associations that you see on there, U.S. Soybean Export Council, all of their headquarters are located in St. Louis. And again, for the very reason that we are partnering with the container on vessel, because this is really the heart of the ag industry, which obviously is a tremendous opportunity as far as finding ways to reduce cost for moving that type of product. And then that's our conclusion. And so hopefully that gave you a great idea as far as our understanding of each of those ports. Each of them has their own unique business model, but collaboratively we are working together. That is allowing us to get better embedded and integrated with that supply chain. And obviously it's helping each other ultimately deliver that economic development plan. So thanks you again for the opportunity to give you a quick update on our initiatives in the Midwest.
Thank you very, very much.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, council members, my name is Randy Richardson. I'm Executive Director of the Memphis-Shelby County Port Commission and also the Vice President of Port and Industrial Properties for what we call EDGE in Memphis, Economic Development Growth Engine. We are passing out this actual presentation, so maybe if you need to look there to see it a little bit better, I've tried to keep the font as big as I can. That might help you out. Also in the folder is my card. If I can help you in any way, please let me know. And in there is the full economic impact analysis we did as part of an EDA grant application on the site, which we'll be talking about, and a flyer that we use to publicize the activities we're working on. While that's been finished given to you, I want to give you an idea. About 2 years ago, how big this project is. I had one of those wow moments. You may understand it, but we were in St. Louis in a meeting up there. We're talking about this project with different parties in there, users, beneficial users. And I had a vision. If this is the Gulf of Mexico, if you see my hands, and Plaquemines at the top of that equation, what we are doing is expanding the Gulf of Mexico all the way up into Central America, into the central part of America, up past the St. Louis region. That's a game changer. That was just a mind blower when I was thinking about what we are doing can change the face of how things move in America and across the world. So if anything starts to get negative or anything like that, just keep that in mind. We're expanding the Gulf of Mexico to Middle America. This is a major project. So we'll move on to the slides. We'll do this pretty quick. A little bit about us. We're the 5th largest inland port in the United States. We do about $9.27 billion annual economic impact. We have over 135 businesses in our port facility, and it's roughly made up of the industrial portion of about 1,200 acres. We do 12 million tons of annual waterborne traffic a year with an all-time high of 19 million. There's roughly now about 14,000 rail cars. We've been up to 35,000 in the past, but Cargill pulled out a facility in 2014, and we're now at 14. We have access to 5 Class I railroads, 2 from the East Coast, 2 from the West Coast, and Canadian National going north and south. We have direct access to Interstates 55 and 40, and we're 12 miles from Memphis International Airport. Next slide. This gives you an overview of our facilities. The 2 blue facilities on the left are our facilities. It's about 15,000 acres made up of 2 areas that were created right after World War II as an act of Congress. The area up at the top is President's Island Industrial Complex, and the area to the south is the Frank C. Pigeon Industrial Complex. President's Island has an industrial complex on it that is at 1,200 acres, and the Pigeon Industrial Facility is a levee-protected facility of about 5,500 acres that now has a number of large industries in there, steel mills and things of that nature. The blue to the far right is the airport, and then you can see the different railroads that go through there. Next slide. All right, this is the site location that we're looking at. This is the mouth of the Port of Memphis. Memphis has an 8-mile-long Stillwater Harbor that is in the MR&T, which is Mississippi Rivers and Tributary Act. So we have designated funding for dredging every year inside this harbor. There's several different properties there. You can see there's 420 acres. It's owned by the City of Memphis and Memphis Light, Gas, and Water, which is the municipal electric utility facility. TVA has close to 500 acres, and then we have some acres to the east, which is called the East Ash Pond. So roughly we have about 1,000 acres to develop. The TVA facility that you see there is a coal facility that they closed down about 2 years ago. It's cold, dark, and dry. And you can see at the bottom of the picture TVA Allen gas plant. They opened up a new turbine gas facility there and closed down the coal facility. So we're looking to take over all those facilities to the north for this container facility. Next slide. This gives you a phase idea of how this would work. You can see the intermodal facility up in the what we call the peninsula in green, which would be a phase 1 facility coming in, and we'll have some renderings in just a minute to show you this. This facility you see here is somewhere around 200,000 containers annually, or a little bit above that, but we have plenty of room to expand in phase 2 and 3 and parts of phase 1. As you'll see in the economic analysis, if you look into it a little bit close, the area to the north is the green area. It's referred to in the economic analysis as the north area. The area to the south, which is the yellow and the blue, is the south area. The analysis for the green area is based on a container facility. The analysis for phases 2 and 3 are based on, or the south area is based on industrial development at this point. Next slide. A little bit more about the economic analysis. As I said, there is a full 7-page analysis in the back. The first section of this is a summary of one-time economic impacts from construction to the areas. And the second one is the annual economic ongoing impact that we looked at. The north parcel, which is a container facility from construction, $102 million. in actual impact. You see the number of jobs and those things. I won't get into those. The south parcel is close to $1 billion economic impact during construction, with a total of a little over $1 billion of total impact. The ongoing economic development, which is the bottom half of the equation, the north parcel, we're looking at $43 million ongoing at startup. This was based on, I believe, 130,000 containers, which is what you'll see in the analysis. South parcel is $1.4 billion in economic impact, and that's a build out of all the acres in the yellow area and the blue area, for a total of $1.5 billion in annual economic impact to that area. Next slide. This is a rendering we had done. You can see the area closest to you, of course, is the container area, or the north area, phase 1. And you can see these are the same type of cranes, smaller versions of what you see down here on the Gulf. Next slide. Whoop. And that's it from a bird's eye view with the vessel there in front. You see the industry in the back. This is one of the widest areas of our harbor. There's plenty of room for the vessel to turn around and maneuver. What we're anticipating is the ability to berth 2 vessels front to rear, bow to stern, at this facility, and have cranes working them. Next slide. We did a strategic economic analysis in 2018, and some of these you saw already in Mary's presentation. But there are type of industries that we saw as the top 5 industries that we need to focus on, and a number of them are already in Memphis. Of course, intermodal logistics. Agricultural processing is becoming a big part, as you know, and sure it is down here. Empty container and trailer pools, steel fabricating, things of that nature, production. We have several in the Memphis area right now. And then waste paper and plastic recycling. We got to get that paper back to the manufacturers, and a lot of that product is manufactured over in China. Next slide. I think that's it. Want to keep it quick and give you a quick overview of what we're doing. I'm sure you're going to get electronic copies of this, and if I can help you out in any way, I'd be happy to do so. Look forward to working with y'all. Y'all have got a great team, despite Paul. I mean, he's getting there. But we're working on him, and we appreciate everything y'all are doing in this project, and I'm just joking with him. Paul's a great guy. Known him for a number of years. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Randy. Are there any questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, from us, that's it. I want to thank you so much for the time, and we'll make sure that all the board members have all the information from the presentations brought forth. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the public? Dr. Gui?
Well, lady and gentlemen, I know you've come a long way, and we truly appreciate it. The vision of a gateway port was something that was presented to us several years ago by Bob Stevens and John Vickerman. And at that time, John Vickerman told me that a rising tide raises all ships. And I had a deer in the headlights look at him. I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. But as this vision becomes clearer and starts to become more focused, and I'm seeing the work that's been done with the stakeholders and an understanding of the economic impact that our project has on your projects, the gateway has started to take focus. And I'm also starting to understand how a rising tide raises all ships. We were very fortunate early on to have the services of Bob Stevens and John Vickerman, who were well versed in port development, more so than any of us at this table or any of the previous members that sat at this table. And as they educated us as to the economic impact or the potential economic impact, it was at times we couldn't see it. It was that big. And then over time, when APH introduced their concept to us, and then Memphis and St. Louis got on board, and then recently Dallas got on board, I started to see what the gateway really was and who was going to be serviced. And the thing that impressed me the most, it was new business. was new business. We're not stealing anything from anyone. This is new business. It's a new paradigm for supplying the needs of Mid-America. The relationships that we have built and the relationships that we will continue to build are critical. They're very critical for us to communicate our needs, to be able to overcome obstacles, which will come, and to get that vision and focus so that as our relationship strengthens, so does the project. I'm very just amazed about how this dream has materialized, and I know we're not there yet. But the vision is really starting to take focus, and the 9 of us sitting here are in a better position now in understanding that vision and understanding the concept of the gateway, understanding the potential economic impact that we'll have not only here, but now we're seeing it all the way up the river and even away from the river with the land port in Dallas. So I wish you all well. We have a great team with Sandy, Paul, and Chris, some of the other consultants that we have, and they have worked diligently over the years, spent a lot of hours, a lot of travel, a lot of phone, a lot of emails to get us to where we are today. And I just want each and every one of you to know how much I appreciate that. And I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gouy. Commissioner Black.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Tim Schott and Plaquemines Association of Business and Industry for hosting the mixer this afternoon. It was a great turnout. I was able to catch back up with Randy, who I haven't seen in a couple years, and folks from, not only Memphis, but from St. Louis, Missouri, as well as Dallas, and get their insight and experience the passion that they have for this particular project and how it's going to benefit not only their communities, not only our community, but the United States, which is, of huge magnitude. I mean, it just, the energy in the room this afternoon was great. I really look forward to continuing to work with you all. I'm glad that you were able to travel to Plaquemines, despite the COVID restrictions and the issues that we have with that. It means a lot. It shows a lot that you were there, and I really appreciate it on behalf of this council. So thank you, and thank you, Paul. Once again, thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Black. Mr. Bush, please state your name and address.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and council members. Good afternoon. I am Mike Bush. Many of you know me as the president of Mississippi River Bank, and/or for my involvement for many years, exactly 38, in the business community activities. Since 1983, I've been active in Plaquemines Parish Council of the New Orleans Regional Chamber, chaired in '84, succeeded Dr. Gouy. In 2002, I served as the chairman of the New Orleans Regional Chamber. In 2004, the New Orleans Regional Chamber changed its business model and no longer allowed small parishes to be part of their system. It was at that point that the parish leaders decided that our parish's diversity and size, that we would form our own business organization. It was called Plaquemines Business Association of Businesses Industry, PABI, and we would serve businesses of all sizes. I was a founding member of the board and PABI's chair in 2009. We have over 50 members. When we started, we quickly got to 100, and we are now around 200 members. Our primary goal is to support a good business environment in Plaquemines Parish. For folks who have been here over the past 20 years, we have seen the steady decline in oil and gas production, read income for Plaquemines Parish, and what that has done to our economy. Oil and gas was the goose that laid golden eggs. The goose is not doing well, need I say more? Just go take a look at the Gazette above the fold yesterday. In 2010, the council began to implement the master plan commissioned by the port. In early 2013, the commission hired its first executive director, Sandy Sanders. Shortly thereafter, Sanders came to the PABI board with the vision of creating a landlord-tenant port and asked PABI to support a 3 mil tax to acquire land on the river. On October 18, 2013, our board voted unanimously to support Sanders' request. We knew it was impossible to have a landlord-tenant port without land on the river. Sanders promised to use all available excess funds the port generated to retire the tax as soon as possible, and true to his word, it was retired several years early, ahead of schedule. Thank you, Sandy. Shortly thereafter, the Parish Council, by Council Ordinance 13, authorized Sanders to acquire 600 acres of riverfront property in a prime location on the river. We are now very happy to hear that Venture Global has executed its option to lease that first parcel for its Plaquemines LNG facility, a clear sign that the project continues to move forward. Even better news is VG's intention to announce its final investment decision in the first quarter of 2021. We're also excited that the letter of intent to perform due diligence on constructing a large container terminal in Plaquemines has been signed. Again, a signal of progress being made. We're delighted today to hear from executives from ports around the country who believe in our shared vision and goals of working together to create an intermodal corridor to the Midwest and other regions as attainable. The businesses Plaquemines Parish, being PABI represents today, are ready, willing, and able to support the construction and operation of the port development in Plaquemines Parish. We look forward to the new high-paying jobs that are going to be created and then the tax generated as a result of these endeavors. I represent all of the past chairmen of PABI in thanking the port and the port administration for bringing these new opportunities to our parish. Your efforts are helping to make the port our new golden goose for our parish. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. Any questions from the board? No? Mr. Schatz.
Tim Schatz, 11266 Highway 23, Riverside Recycling and Disposal. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tim Schatz, the 2020 Chair of PABI, the Plaquemines Association of Business and Industry. Earlier today, we welcomed representatives from our partner ports in Dallas, Memphis, and St. Louis. I also want to thank this Board of Commissioners for allowing us to speak tonight, allowing me to speak tonight, so thank you. All of you represent vital components of a major paradigm shift that will reduce the cost of shipping containers to port cities connected along the Mississippi River. I wrote this before I saw this presentation, and now I'm just amazed at just how simple the concept sounds. Now again, simplicity, these are small steps, but I believe that if a vision makes sense, if we pursue that vision, it can become a reality. But I do have a slightly different view than most because I've not been around as long as most of you. In 2007, a business opportunity brought me to Plaquemines Parish. Since earning a mining engineering degree from Penn State during the disco era, I have managed solid waste disposal facilities in and around Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Houston, Richmond, Baltimore, Charlotte. But then I jumped on the opportunity to run Riverside Recycling and Disposal here in Plaquemines Parish. Immediately when I first came down to this location before I accepted the job, I met with several people. And immediately I sensed optimism and a strong belief of impending business opportunities and job growth. That optimism has not ceased, but it's only gained momentum in my mind. I've met with many of you individually, and just as I have met with many of our business leaders individually, and I know our ideas and positions are not always the same. But I have not met any business leader, and certainly not any elected official, who does not want success and prosperity for our parish. It is my sincere desire that we work closely to find ways for project success. And again, remember, success is what brings opportunities to our business members, jobs for our residents, and badly needed revenues for our parish. Not all of our members are businesses that will provide direct services to these companies involved in these projects. but all of our members will benefit. Stay focused on the target. Thousands of construction jobs and hundreds of permanent jobs will benefit everyone. Our gas stations, our tire shops, our grocery stores, the banks, the pharmacies, our medical providers, dry cleaners, our restaurants, the barber shops, all are going to benefit from this increased commercial activity. It's jobs. Our members who will benefit directly from these contracts or subcontracts are furnishing materials or supplying or providing professional services are all anxiously awaiting these projects to begin. They in turn will provide increased sales tax revenues for our parish and additional jobs for our residents. You heard Mike Bush say earlier that the 200 businesses we represent employ thousands of parish residents. They are the same folks who are your constituents, and they are the same folks who will welcome this success. Hobby stands ready to work with you on any issue where you believe business expertise might help, and we certainly make wonderful cheerleaders in this effort. Again, thank you for your commitment to public service, and we mean that. I would not want to be walking your shoes and make some of the decisions you have to make. Thank you for your commitment to public service, and congratulations on the recent significant milestones of Venture Global's Plaquemines liquefied natural gas facility and the LOI to perform the required diligence in support of constructing the Plaquemines container terminal. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Tim. Are there any questions from the board? Any more questions from folks in the audience? All right, please state your name and address, Mr. Henry. Very sharp.
Arthur Henry. Mr. Matthew did a good job. Hey, you did a good job. But now here, look. Here we go with business, and I have nothing against business. I'm for it, always will be. But I'm also for the people. We're talking a good game up here, man. We're talking a good game. Nothing is free. These collaborations with these companies, all this is free, not going to cost anything. The people need to know that. Then we got jobs. Everybody say it's going to bring jobs. It's going to bring jobs. But just like we see every day going out the parish, we see all the good jobs, people living outside the parish. We need to start having some jobs where, hey, start putting that money in the parish so the people in the parish could benefit from it. You know, somebody got to get up here and say it, man. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. Because too long it's been. Business always say, we're going to bring jobs, we're going to bring jobs. People in the parish doesn't get the jobs. You know, I'm for the businesses, but we got to start getting the people in the parish with some good paying jobs. We got to start doing that, man. We just can't look at it from the business end. If you're going to employ the people in the parish. Well, a majority of them anyhow. Let them people live good. Let them people have to build homes in the parks, you know? Yeah, let everybody get to do that, man. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm about. I'm not against this deal, but it's on the ground floor here. It's on the ground floor. Let's do it. Let's do it right. Let's do it right so all the people get to participate in its economic success. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Henry. I'm sure Mr. Matthews and this board and Mr. Sanders will build in workforce development into any of the plans to build a container port and try to do it with minimal to no tax incentives and let our strategic location in the world dictate if this should be built or not. Ms. Riley?
Good afternoon. My name is Major Tracy Riley, U.S. Army retired, and a resident here in Plaquemines Parish. I've spent my military career loading and offloading ships for Operation Desert Storm and Operations Enduring and Iraqi Freedom. To my surprise, when I retired and returned home, Little did I know that in my own community would be this exciting new intermodal hub, transportation hub in my backyard. And I'm very interested in that growth. I'm happy to see that we have found a way to compete economically and keep up with the rest of our country, and as well build relationships, forge relationships around the country, so that this transportation hub can be as great and as useful as the rest of the country believes it can be. And I just wanted to emphasize that you commissioners, you councilmen, are in a very important position to make sure that happens. And as a voter, we are relying on you to do the right thing, make the necessary hard decisions so that this can be the benefit for the entire community. I also want to stress that as a parent of one college graduate from LSU, a local school here, I'm sure you've heard of it, and as well as a mother of a sophomore at the same school, that I'm very interested in the opportunities for our young professionals who are raised here, who attend high school here, go off to college. And I certainly want our young, talented, educated, potential employees to come back home, to use this project to recruit our own residents to come back and help grow this parish and help make sure that this project, as the last count I heard was around $19 billion project, help it to become a success so that everyone in the community has an opportunity to earn for themselves, contribute to this project, and make this parish better. Very excited to continue to track the progress and to be a part of the feedback in terms of being a resident and helping fill those gaps. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Riley. Are there any other questions? All right. Moving down the agenda, please.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for your time being here. We really appreciate your visit. It's very informative.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, please, Mr. Bartholomew.
Yes. Through the years, my conversation with the port and different business that's coming in, the primary objective is to organize, but the overall objective is to be responsible to the Plaqueminians and to address the needs of our young kids in high school, giving them an opportunity to remain, for those who want to go to work after high school, remain in Plaquemine and to live a very productive life. They all agreed to set up programs through the universities in the area to accomplish that objective. And once you do that, then you have stabilized an environment for as people is concerned. And it minimizes the injustice that may be existing. And what it does is blooms us into an economic component that where all our people are successful. And that means we are encouraging other business as such to come into Plaquemine with that attitude and frame of mind. Because after all, Plaqueminians need to receive the benefits of all those inequities that exist through business, that we suffered with taxes and everything else. Now is the opportunity to plan for that and make sure, I mean not be here, but make sure, you can make sure that it goes through and our generation coming behind us will have a successful way of life. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Bartholomew. Any other questions from the audience? All right, moving down the agenda, please, Barb.
Discussion and update on the executive calendar, Commissioner Roussel.
Yes, Mr. Sanders is not here, so that's who I wanted to address this to, because he had told me that he was going to update the calendar, That has not been done, so I'm going to defer it till the next meeting. Thank you.
Please.
Do you want to go on to A, or you want to go up to executive session?
We can go ahead and go to A, please.
A, financial report, budget to actual. There is none. 4, bids and advertisements. There are none. Introduction of ordinances and resolutions. Mr. Chairman, we have 2. For Commissioner Newberry, a resolution authorizing the Executive Director, Maynard Sandy Sanders, to engage with Woodland Borrow Pits LLC for the acquisition of a particular tract of land as described below. For Commissioner Newberry, a resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing Port Executive Director Maynard Sanders to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District and Plaquemines Parish Government to accomplish the goals set forth in this resolution and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that is all for the introductions, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Moving on.
6B, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt Rule 1 in Chapter I of Section 2-18 of the Code of Ordinances for Plaquemines Parish relative to the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to rescind, annul, and set aside ordinance number 19-150 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
That's read. Mr. LaFrance?
Deferred.
Moving along.
C, a resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing and directing the initiation of litigation related to the proposed Belle Chase Bridge project, authorizing and directing the Port Chairman, Richie Blank, to engage special counsel for such litigation and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Chairman, I'd prefer to go into executive session to discuss item 2A prior to any action or discussion on C.
Certainly. All right. Can we make a motion to go into executive session? We need to go back. My computer has died over the time that the presentations were given here. I need to.
Executive session 2A. Executive session pursuant to LRS 42:17A10 to receive attorney-client privileged information with regard to the legal standing of the port in matters pertaining to the proposed Belle Chase Bridge project. Commissioner Roussel.
All right. Offer is read.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. LaFrance.
Let me see if I can do it. Machine is open. Yeah.
All right. Vote passes 8-0. Let the record reflect that we're going into executive session at 6:08 p.m. Call the meeting back to order at 6:38 p.m. Okay.
Item 8, approval of the August 13, 2020 meeting minutes.
Offered by Commissioner LaFrance, seconded by Kognovich. And with the minutes approved 7-1, Black's absent.
Mr. Chairman, that's it, other than voting on item 6C.
We'll just recess for 2 or 3 minutes until that paperwork is completed, and then we'll be moving on that. Thank you.
Councilman Blank, hit the gavel if you recess.
Okay. Recessing at 6:39 p.m. Certainly.
Okay, you're good.
All right. I'd like to call the meeting back to order at 6:42 p.m. Barb, please.
Item 6C, a resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing and directing the initiation of litigation related to the proposed Belle Chase Bridge project, authorizing and directing the Port Chairman, Richie Blink, to engage special counsel for such litigation and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Roussel.
Okay.
At this time, I'm going to ask the attorney to read the offering with my changes, and then after we take action on that, I'd like to revert to item 5 of introduction and ordinances and reintroduce the item that was just read. Follow me? Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, so the changes would be on line 2, delete authorizing and, delete line 3 in its entirety. On line 4, delete project. On line 5, delete for such litigation. Delete lines 13 through 32 in their entirety. On line 40, delete in litigation. Delete lines 42 through 47 in their entirety, such that the preamble would now read, a resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing and directing the Port Chairman, Richie Blink, to engage special counsel and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
And I'll offer that next for a second.
Second.
Offered by Roussel, seconded by Commissioner Kogovich.
Now, what this does, this allows us to engage Mr. Garrett to represent us as the Port Authority in the negotiation of this issue. We have discussed this, and we have come to a point to where he's going to make an effort to negotiate. And in the absence of any successful negotiation, I have will reintroduce the original legislation, which will authorize the filing of the lawsuit. So at this point, we're not filing the lawsuit today, or authorizing that, to be clear. We have been in contact with certain individuals to try to negotiate out something, and if we're not successful, then I will come back next for a vote. But I wanted to put it on the table for those of you who are in the audience that wanted to speak on this issue. And we have a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would ask the chairman to allow anybody that has comments on this issue to be able to come forward.
So I'd like to open up anybody on the board has any questions or comments? All right, members of the audience?
Let me have a question.
Sure. Dr. Goy, please.
And Danny, I'm going to ask you, and I am in favor of that action, but I want to ask, does this result in the appropriation of any funds? Or this is just to authorize you to negotiate under your existing contract?
Well, in order for me, because my current contract, I think, is limited to the council in this role, and in order for me to represent the port, which is a separate juridical entity, I just feel like belt and suspenders, it needs a separate contract. Y'all can certainly decide whether or not that would be paid through the parish's appropriation or through the port, but I do think I would have to have a contractual relationship with the Port Harbor and Terminal District in order to represent myself as representing the port in a negotiation.
And would that require an ordinance because it's an appropriation of funds, or can we do this?
I'd like to address that.
Yeah, please.
There are sufficient funds in the Port Harbor and Terminal District line items for legal fees. There's a great amount of money in there. So I don't think that there's a shortage of funds to pay him. This is just the authorization to hire him, and those funds that are in the budget are more than adequate. So it's not an appropriation, it's not an ordinance.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Anybody from the audience has any questions? Mr. Valley, please state your name and address.
Hold on, Mr. Dowd.
Court. Mr. Gouy, I think your ideas on this are probably very appropriate, and you're correct, he does need to have another method of payment. And there's plenty of money in there, and I think the way you're going this time, and hopefully we can get a little further along with the state and the people where we are with this bridge and this money. But let's not forget where we're going, and I appreciate your resolution that you can come back here. Hope you don't have to.
Thank you.
Am I live? Yep. Okay, Rob Forshey, 116 New Street in Belchase. I think that there's some things that need to be said from the port, and hopefully they'll get behind this, from the port administration, I should say, and hopefully they'll get behind this. But I would also ask that PABI would get behind this and go or back this litigation with the state in order to facilitate us trying to negotiate something. Because the more support that we have for this, the better off the people of Plaquemines are going to be. So I just wanted to make that statement. And of course, PABI is a private organization. They can make up their mind whether they do or not. But I just wanted to make that statement, that hopefully, being a Plaquemines Parish organization supported by the people of Plaquemines in a roundabout way, would get behind this thing and try to help reverse or help the cost of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forshey. Any other questions or comments? No? Oh, Mr. Henry?
Yes. Arthur Henry, Belchase. Oh, yeah, you say the proposed Belchase Bridge project. So, what you gonna negotiate? The tolls or the entire project? What you gonna negotiate on? Let the people know. Are you negotiating on the entire bridge project or just the tolls?
We're negotiating on the entire project.
Okay, people need to know, that's all.
Hello, Ms. Riley.
Hi there, Major Tracy Riley, 13482 Highway 23, Belchase. Coming from the last week with this budget meeting, I've still got budget on the brain from those many hours long discussion we had last week. Whenever I hear we got plenty of money, it makes me nervous. So when we're talking about litigation, and we know that that can get into, tens of thousands of dollars, I'm asking, what is this about? Can you just share with us where this came from and what issue necessitated our needing to sue someone?
Certainly. So what's going on, the Belchase Bridge is going to be replaced with another 4-lane bridge, which is going to be a fixed structure. About $65 million, 45 from Infogrant, the rest from the state has been pledged. Wait, sorry?
95 total.
95 total, I'm sorry, has been pledged already as starting money from state and federal sources. The state bid the project out as a P3, a public-private partnership. They're spending $500,000 a year on a bridge tender, pumps, lights, all that other stuff for the very leaky tunnel. The state has this mindset that they can't go build a new bridge, i.e. Peters Road, without handling ongoing infrastructure issues, mainly repairs and replacements. There's a multi-billion-dollar backlog. We have some of the, for instance, out of a 100 rating, the bridge in Lake Charles is rated like a 7. So you can see what the state is dealing with.
Okay.
So they're trying to get creative with replacing some of this aging infrastructure. This is the first time this has been tried here and other places along the Gulf Coast. Houston is kind of popular. Say if you ever went to Orange Beach or maybe some places in the Florida Panhandle, you maybe have driven on one of these roads where there's not even a toll booth. You just, they send you a bill for $2.50 in the mail for driving through. Anyway, the fee schedule, the tolling that would actually happen by this company Plenary, which is the only company to actually bid on this project, would amount to about $750 million being bled out of Plaquemines Parish over the 30-year life of the project. With $95 million put up front, we think it's just completely unacceptable to allow something like that to happen here. And this is our, maybe one of the last chances we have to go to bat to stop this project. There's a small provision in the contract that says that the port has to give approval. There was an instance where a port staffer went and spoke to DOTD in a way that could have been construed in favor of that project, unbeknownst to the board, and certainly not voted on by the board. So there's been some back and forth with DOTD. We'll see as the vote goes in a little while where folks stand on how good of a chance this is that we can stop the project, which would be best, or there could be some concessions made for Plaquemines residents. Certainly, if $750 million is going to be bled out, the number is just astronomical. I'm sure folks were surprised when the people at notolls.org, that when they ran the numbers and showed just how much was going to be bled out of the community. It's just completely unacceptable. Is there anything else to add, folks?
Does the port acknowledge that a mistake was made? Are they in agreement with you as the council that help is needed in this way? Because this is it, right? You're saying you're taking over sole governing authority. You're going to take it over, represent the parish on it on behalf of the port, and try to get that $700 million back.
So, I mean, we are, we're voting on this as port commissioners right now. This body is the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Internal District. So, I mean, we're not acting as in our capacity as parish council members at this moment. We will in the next meeting. But I'm not sure if I completely understand your question, Ms. Riley.
A resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port. That's what's on, right? You're going to take that authority.
No, let me address that.
Commissioner Russo, please go ahead.
And does the port?
Ms. Riley, this issue has been resolved some time ago. The port was created as a entity of the state, but the governing authority was given to the local government. So this body is the port.
Okay.
So we're not taking anything away from them. We were given that authority through the legislative process of creating the port.
Okay.
So we're not taking anything from them. We're just authorizing the council attorney to work on this issue for us as the port because of other reasons.
All right. And the port does not have any pushback with that?
We are the port. So if they push back, then they will. You talking about the administration?
Yes.
I'm not sure where the administration stands, but since we are the governing authority.
I got you.
And they work for us, then they have to really follow the lead of what votes.
Understood. I just, the way the first sentence reads, it looks as if it's coming from the council and they're taking over the authority.
No.
But thank you very much. I understand now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Hi, Reverend Edwards.
Good. We're talking on that with 112 Thomas Lane in downtown Phoenix. My question was, and Tracy and Brother Hendry asked the question, but I want to go to ask the early question. How did we get to this level? How can this happen? Why would this wasn't derailed before it happened? Because, I mean, just somebody had to know the state was going to do this. So how did we get to the level where the state could just act as saying, we're going to take this money from Plaquemines? How did we get to this level to let that happen?
Mr. Russo, you're in the queue.
You want to answer it?
No, I mean, well, you're up here.
Okay, the way we got here is because, am I on?
Yes.
The way we got here is because all the efforts made to stop it were divided. We had these people saying we wanted it. We had these people saying we didn't want it. There was not a united front.
What people, you're talking about elected officials,
Yeah.
just general public people?
No, elected officials, staff members, it's split. And without pointing the fingers at any individual particularly, that's how we got here, because the state made a decision to go in this direction and it didn't get enough opposition up front. And the reason they didn't get enough opposition up front was because no one knew the deal until after it was over. You see, the $700 million wasn't revealed until after we were all opposing it. We went to the Joint Transportation Committee hearings. Now, some people testified for it and some people testified against it from our parish, from our community. Now, had we known, and I believe had the business community or the people that testified for it known what the deal was, I don't think they could have had the nerve to go and support draining $700 million out of this community. But I might be wrong, but that's how we got here.
Well, I would go back to something that Ms. Raleigh was saying about that sole governing authority, even though you verbalizing that, but it's in fact that this council, has demonstrated that people have different position on the council sole authority and the post sole authority, even though you just made that statement. And so I would look at the same thing Ms. Raleigh was talking about. This parish council, you all are split on terms of that, and I don't want to go down memory lane, but I remember how you were supposed to create a committee when I think Judge Connors was the lawyer at the time, and this group came together and they found out that there was a charter of the state. And one of the things that came out there, one of the biggest argument in that was, who controls the port. And I still don't think as a body you all have that together, because if you did, then you wouldn't be no need to make that statement.
Well, let me say this, Mr. Edwards. We do know that because we have a judgment in that favor. We got a judgment last year from the court when this body was split, as you stated. They had 5 votes to sue ourselves. That case went to court and was adjudicated, and the judge ruled that the council is in fact the body that governs the port, and the charter is upheld by that court decision.
Well, if that's the case, Mr. Russell, then why do we have to do something special for attorney who's automatically supposed to be, the post automatically supposed to be part of the parish government, and this attorney automatically is attorney for the parish government? Why there's a need for a separate contract? I'm just trying to figure.
Because there's an ordinance on the books that separated us. That's what you're getting to.
Okay.
So there is an ordinance on the books that separates the administration out of the government. You're right.
So that's the part I'm talking about, is while we make that statement, there's these other things in there that cause the separation, and we have to really say there is a separation. Even though we got judge adjudication, all those things, but there still is a separation.
Thank you very much, Reverend Edwards. I just want to point out, too, that this, a resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Port Harbor Internal District, that's at the top of almost every single resolution and ordinance. It's standard boilerplate language. When we gavel in for the meetings, we say that this is a meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council serving as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Internal District. So, some of this is, just boilerplate language. I do understand your frustrations. Please, Mr. Scorsone.
My name's Mike Scorsone, 150 Adam Drive. In my hands, I've got the comprehensive agreement. Just a little history. When we had the big meeting in the Belle Chase Auditorium, and then the next day, there was a meeting up in Baton Rouge with the Joint Transportation Committee, and I believe Mr. Matthews, if I'm not mistaken, went up to Baton Rouge and stated that, that they were in favor of the project, okay? And I believe in favor of a new bridge. Because at that time, this comprehensive agreement, we didn't have the draft yet. So, but one thing I want to point out is that on page 1 of this comprehensive agreement, the comprehensive agreement is made and entered into as of December 20th, 2019. Now, when the Joint Transportation Committee had their vote, nobody had read this final comprehensive agreement because nobody had it. So my question is how can they enter into something that we haven't seen the details yet? We got a review of the draft comprehensive agreement, but all the facts and figures and the windfall and everything else is in this final agreement.
Which is exactly.
That's the whole thing is, I really feel if we had more time to dive into this final comprehensive agreement, I think more heads would have turned. For Pobby to come and say the day before that December, 19th meeting that they were for this, how can they be for it when they haven't seen the facts and figures? That's insane. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scorsone. Any other comments from the board? Oh, please, by all means.
Vic Scarsoni, 125 Wood Chase in Bell Chase. Guys, it's been a long road for me. Hopefully, I'm at my end of it and let y'all pick it up from here. Just to let you know, I did a little quick sheet. I'm not sure whether it was circulated or not. Plenary will profit off this deal after 30 years of about $400 million. That's what the profit they're going to make. Not how much they're going to take out of our parish. That's how much they're going to put in their pocket. So a deal that started off as being $165 million turns into a $700 million job. Now, like I said before, we didn't know all the deal. We never knew the deal until after the comprehensive agreement was released, what was already signed. My problem with the whole thing is that we found out, I met the governor, I went with Benny Roussel and a few other people, we met the governor, and we found out that it's not against the law to get a bad deal. Everything down this line on this whole deal smells. There's a lot of things that smell. And that's the bad part about this deal. I mean, we were told we're going to get $45 million toward our bridge. Everybody was throwing parties. We had balloons. We had confetti going up in the air. You know why? $45 million is a lot of money. So when they told us that, I don't blame anybody on the council or any state representative that didn't want to get a picture shot in the paper that said, hey, look, we're accepting $45 million. But it's the same thing as if I tell you, I'm going to make a deal in your house and I'm going to give you $45 million up front. I mean, $45,000 on your house up front. You take it, right? And then you find out that, hey, look, not only that, the state and federal government's going to give you some more money. So we wind up putting $93,000 down on your house. You only owe $70,000, but it's going to cost you $700,000 to pay that house off. That's where we're at. I think I told you that last time I was in this meeting, the last meeting. That's what frustrates me so much. I've never, ever in my life stood in front of a council and had an issue with anything this parish has done. I've lived in this parish for 62 years. This is the first thing I've ever picked up. It wasn't that it was a decent deal. I haven't met anybody on the council, in public, our state representatives, Pat Connick, anybody that said this is a decent deal. Decent deal, I would have gone away. It's a horrible deal. It got passed so quick, the parish couldn't even react on it. We had 2 resolutions against it. Didn't make a difference. We wrote the governor. Didn't make a difference. We met the governor. Didn't make a difference. We went to the Joint Transportation Committee and told them how bad of a deal it was. Didn't make a difference. We were getting this sandwich shoved down our throat. We had to eat it. So I'd expect anybody on the council, if this is the last shot we have of either killing the deal or making the deal at least a little better, I think we ought to take that shot at this point. I just can't imagine the first time that the person that works at Stuart Dewey's dentist comes into the parish, first year, $500 going to come out their payroll, their paycheck. So they got to make $700 to clear $500. So you have a lot of people that live in Gretna that's not going to go Algiers Bridge, Woodland Bridge, whatever you call it. They're going to come over Bellchase Bridge. They have to come over Bellchase Bridge. So it's going to put a sour note in anybody doing business in Plaquemines and Bellchase that we have this bridge you got to pay to get here. I just think it's a terrible deal, and I would hope that if for some reason I have to come back, I'll be glad to give you the numbers. I'm pretty much tired of dealing with it. I'm tired of my wife telling me to put the computer down for a little while. I think I've done my diligence. I think I've told you all the answers to the questions. I don't know what else I could do for this parish. This is the worst deal I've ever seen as an engineer, period. Not even a decent deal. So please, please, try to stop it best you can. At least give us a better deal. Thank you very much.
Mr. Scorsone, we very much appreciate your efforts, your due diligence behind the scenes, your calculations, your time, your travel, and pointing out just how bad of a deal, a raw deal this is for the parish. And I just want to say that besides everything that you stated is why we're taking legal action, we're also trying to get things cleaned up to where this can't happen again. This is what the executive calendars was born out of, so we know what our people are doing before they go and do it, so we're not blindsided by these things in the future. So I just trying to weave this together here.
Well, I really don't consider the council being blindsided. I think the state blindsided the council is what happened, period. I think the state was, after the White Auditorium meeting, they were headed to Baton Rouge. You know what they're going to do in Baton Rouge the next day? They're going to sign. Because guess what? We didn't know the comprehensive agreement. We didn't have time enough to get a computer together to figure out how much it was going to cost, but they were going to sign. How do you like that? That's like you saying, hey, look, builder, can you build me a house? Sure. Let's go to the bank. That's what they did. So I think the parish should feel slighted by the state. I understand that we want a new bridge. I understand the port needs a new bridge. I understand that. I just don't think we could sell our soul for a new bridge. And that's what it will be. It's a concrete structure. They want to spend $4 million a year on O&M. $4 million. That is crazy money.
Agreed.
And guess what? That's what a P3 does. It gives you the Rolls Royce of cars. We don't need a Rolls Royce. We've been dealing with a jalopy for the last 40 years. We're good with jalopies, okay? We know not to leave Bellchase at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We deal with it. But we can't sell our soul for $700 million and get this deal. It stinks all over the place. Look, when I went to the governor, we talked to the governor, I asked Sean Wilson pointed questions. He could not answer most of my questions. And the questions he answered were wrong. He lied to us. So he all the questions they wrote on a piece of paper, they sent it to Benny Roussel and myself. We've addressed those answers. And so I hope that Benny will share those answers with y'all. So we've worked on that quite hard. We're going to show you where Sean Wilson kind of pulled the eyes over Plaquemines Parish.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scorsone. Are there any other questions before we move on this?
I just wanted to thank Vic for all his work in traveling to Baton Rouge and participating in the meeting. He was an invaluable source, and without the No-Tolls group and Vic's spreadsheet, we wouldn't even be here.
All right. I'd just like the record to reflect that Mr. Black is now absent before we take this vote. Thank y'all. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, yes, go ahead, Mr. Bartholomew.
Yes. I just want to let you gentlemen know I can relate to the fact of the $500, $600, $700 cost a year, because that's what it costs a residents on the East Bank now to cross the ferry. Both way, $1 each way. So I can sympathize with that. I feel your pain. because I used to pay, but I don't pay anymore because of my age, but I used to pay. I feel your pain. I'm not in favor of tolls, like Plaquemine Parish Council government is when it comes to local tolls. I'm not in favor of no tolls, period. I just want to let you know that. I feel your pain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bartholomew. All right, are we ready to move on the legislation?
Question?
All right. And let the record reflect, it's 7-0 with Mr. Black and Mrs. Newberry absent.
Revert back to item 5.
All right. Could we please revert back to item 5?
Secretary, read it.
This is for Commissioner Roussel. A resolution of the Plaquemines Parish Council acting as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, authorizing directing the initiation of litigation related to the proposed Belle Chase Bridge project, authorizing and directing the port chairman, Richie Blank, to engage special counsel for such litigation and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
All right. I'll offer.
There's no offer.
Oh, yep. Sorry about that. Please continue. All righty.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Motion to adjourn by Bartholomew, second by Kognovich. All right. And it's 6-0 with Arbor, Black, and Newberry absent. I'd like to call this meeting of the Plaquemines Parish Council, serving as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor and Terminal District, to a close at 7:14.